up, you guys? It's Mary.
And Amma.
Leave us a like,
subscribe,
share,
and comment
down below, you all. Because today we are doing a review of I think it's the latest episode of Fear Thy Neighbor, you guys.
Oh, okay.
It is the worst one that they have ever had in its like total, I think 7 or 12 seasons.
Wow.
I think it's called Inferno of Revenge, and it's about this man named Stanley Ford. Yeah. Who actually killed 9 of his neighbors, including 5 kids. Yes, he killed 2 adults, 2 elderly adults.
Yeah, 4 adults, really.
Yes, 4 adults and 5 kids. The youngest child was 4 months. Yes, so we're just going to get into it. This guy, he apparently called himself the guardian of the neighborhood.
Yes.
And he would refer to the Bible to do his evil doings.
Yes.
He said that I think he will quote things from the Bible talking about how God rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah, and that an angel rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah and filled it with brimstone and stuff like that.
Yeah, fire and brimstone, I guess.
So apparently, whenever he would have an issue with a neighbor, he had one neighbor in particular who had a walker who was about his age, who would have these parties. He had brought this guy in who was homeless, did not have a job, had no place to stay, and was living in his basement.
Yeah.
But this man was out here.
He will bring different people.
He will bring different people.
Like they'll stay a little while, get on their feet, and then they'll move on. And he will continue to, anyone who needed help, continue to open up his basement to them. And then, of course, they will come together and, like, the homeless guy, which was so interesting, he came with drinks. I'm just like, where did this man get money?
He had no job. You're homeless. You're here. You're drinking and you're smoking every weekend. And then you're causing,
And the first day you come, you're like, oh, I got stuff for the party. I'm like,
what you mean?
You're homeless.
You should be focused on getting a J.O.B.
Yeah.
So, apparently, the guy, Stanley Ford, the murderer,
yes,
he was living across the street. So, it's like, we're here, and I'm looking at you. You know what I'm saying? So, they were quite close. Yeah. They would be having these parties or whatever. And then, of course, he is a devout Christian. Quote unquote. So he didn't believe in the smoking and the drinking.
And so is the other couple across the street. This elderly couple.
Yes.
The man had some kind of hip surgery. He walks with a cane, and he's there, lives with his wife.
No, he didn't have the hip surgery yet.
Oh,
he was walking with a cane. He was supposed to get a hip surgery. But Stanley was so upset with this man for having this delinquent here, smoking and drinking, and having these parties all late at night and all this stuff, that apparently he decided to set his house on fire the day after he had hip surgery, and burned him and his girlfriend to a crisp.
Yeah. They actually died from smoke inhalation.
Yes, because he could not get down the steps. Because the thing is, the way Stanley would set the fires is that he would actually burn the door, the front of the house, so there's no way for you to get out.
He'll use like an accelerant.
Yes.
So the fire can go really fast.
Yes.
And he will start from the bottom.
Yes.
So by the time you're trying to come downstairs, the bottom is all
messed up.
Yeah, the fire is there. So they try to go back up.
Well, he couldn't even go down the steps because he had just had the hip replacement.
And so his girlfriend was going.
Yes.
And
he was like, he's like, go, I'm right behind you. She was like, no, we're going to get out at the same time. So they couldn't make it downstairs, so they went into the bathroom. He was yelling down at his neighbors. The man who was living in his basement didn't even bother to run up the steps to go help him, which I said, it showed me all I need to know about him. Didn't give a damn about him.
Yeah, he was just like, oh,
I can't help you.
Yeah. Well, he did try to go get the ladder.
My thing is, you should have been yelling, cussing at people. Listen, get to me a hammer. I need a hammer. Let me bang this so he can come down. Yeah. But I just feel like he didn't do enough. Yeah. And the thing is, I just don't feel like this man cared about him. Because if you did, you would not be here giving his neighbors strife. Yeah. You're smoking, drinking. You ain't got no damn job. Yeah. You are homeless, living in my basements. Get your ass up and go get a J.O.B. What are you doing, smoking, drinking? Delinquent behavior.
I know.
So at first, so the thing is, I hadn't known that this man was murdering people. So I actually was on Stanley's side. I was like, this man's trying to protect his neighborhood.
Right.
Like, these people are just sodomizing the neighborhood. They're here trying to keep it quiet.
And then there was a time, remember, one of his friends came and was like, I'll make it worth your while.
And he thought she was a prostitute.
What does that mean, though, when she says that?
It seems like it's alluding to sex or whatever.
Yeah. Come on over here, Stanley. Have fun with me.
But before he burnt down the house, the guy who I think his name was Leon or something. His name was Leon. He actually had gotten these people a van so that they could just party in the van because he was trying to at least appease Stanley. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But Stanley didn't see it as that. He said, "Oh my God, I got a crack house on wheels." I was like, "What you mean?" At least it was in the car.
He out the window. Well, his Bible. It was something else.
So he actually threw rocks in the house. This was before he had set him on fire. Yeah. And he had actually set the car on fire. Burnt the whole thing down to a crisp.
But they were still partying.
They were still partying. They brought it back on the porch. And then I think he had got fed up.
Okay, now I'm going to just...
time to take you out. So that's what he did.
That's exactly what he did.
Fast forward to the other neighbor.
They died. It was smoke inhalation.
Yeah, they died holding hands, which I felt so sad.
It was sad. And so a year later, another neighbor moved in. Not to that house, but further down.
It was actually a house that Stanley actually wanted to buy. Because he actually was living right next to his childhood home that his mom had and gave to him after she had died. So he bought the home right next to it. So he was trying to buy up houses or whatever. Yeah. But then this black man came with his white girlfriend, I guess, and their 5 kids. And he moved in there. Yeah. And he immediately goes and tells his wife, "Oh, somebody has bought the house. They're probably going to be some crack dealers." And then the wife was like, "That's not very neighborly." Yeah. I don't know why you said that. So after that, he was trying to, apparently he was a man of God. His brothers were there, whatever, and stuff like that. They seemed nice and stuff. But I think it really only took one time for them to have a party. And all that neighbor stuff went out the window.
We also saw him selling, I guess he was selling marijuana. Right. Yeah. And so he did catch him doing that. Yeah. And so he was really concerned.
But he said it really wasn't him because his brother said that he was selling kidogo. Tiny amounts of weed. It really just maybe enough for a blunt or a joint or whatever. Yeah. So he said it wasn't major.
Not like a whole bunch of weed he was selling now.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing that was a little suspect, he will have his son go and look inside homes. Inside cars. I don't know if it's to see if there's something in there to steal or something.
My thing is the boy was 14 years old. Yeah. The second thing is you are a stay-at-home dad.
I know.
Your white girlfriend is out there working as a dialysis technician. Yes, and you are at home selling drugs.
I know.
When you have 5 kids.
And then your 14-year-old son is going out there breaking into cars. Like, come on.
I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
So that's my thing about ruining the neighborhood. Yeah. So I hadn't thought that it was Stanley. Still no reason to murder nobody. No, but this is me watching, and I know that this man has murdered all these people. I don't think I started to realize it until it was the 3rd murder. No, it was the 3rd. No, actually, he had set another car on fire. Yes. His white neighbor Bev actually was living next to these 2 black men who were smoking and drinking or whatever. Stanley
was black.
Yeah, Stanley was also black. Yeah. But Stanley had gotten into an argument with the boy because he had ran into his yard or whatever, and he grabs him by the chest. He says, "If you come my yard again, I will body you," which means I'm gonna put your ass in a body bag.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought a body me just hit you with the body.
I actually didn't know that either. You know, I guess it was some lingo I didn't know. But yeah, so he actually was having issues with them or whatever. But apparently he did not like them, and somebody has set another car on fire. And I said, this is starting to look like Stanley. Yes. That's what I started being like, ooh. So that happened.
They had their party. They had a big party. A lot of people came by. All their families came by. Right. They had this big party. And then the next thing you know, Stanley, that was it for him.
They had about 3 parties or whatever. Stanley didn't like it. Because he didn't like the son either. Apparently the son had walked up to one of his daughters. Because mind you, Stanley had a younger wife. And he had 2 daughters who were 10. This is a man who has kids. He decided that the little boy of the man who was selling weed or whatever, he went up to give them popsicles. Apparently he hallucinated and thought it was weed. And it's like, get the hell away from her. Yes. He smokes drugs or whatever. I don't want you around my child. Da da da. So that bridge was burnt. Yes. But I think by the 3rd or 4th party, he had enough. And he decided that after the party had died down or whatever, they were all going to sleep. he decided to set that house on fire, and he burnt the living room. He burnt the door. Like, he burnt the whole front of the house.
Go downstairs and
couldn't go downstairs.
And then they couldn't, like, the windows also. They couldn't get out.
They couldn't hop out the windows either.
It was so sad. So
and apparently she couldn't even call 911 because he had cut the phone lines. That's what I'm thinking.
Or maybe
allegedly.
Maybe they were all burned or something.
Oh,
but she could not call anyone. It wasn't until Stanley's wife woke up.
She ran out because she's a mother
and saw what was going on, that she called 911. So they didn't get there until like 10 minutes had passed in that fire, and so all of them died from smoke inhalation. The parents and the 5 kids.
Me personally, I think it's so done with the firefighters because they said that they actually cannot go. When a fire is blazing, they cannot go in there at all. Mm-hmm. My thing is, you can't go from the back or whatever and bring a trampoline and have somebody jump out.
Sometimes they can, but you know what happened? I just remembered. Remember when time when they had that first fire, they had used the fire hydrant, right? And they never came back to fix it. And so when they tried it again, there was no water in it.
No.
So it took them a while to go get water from somewhere else.
Yes.
So by the time they got, it was too late. They all died. They had all died. 2 parents, 5 children.
Yeah, and the youngest was 4 months.
And the parents, they really tried to cover them with like blankets and stuff like that, but they all died. It was so sad.
Yeah, it was in Akron, Ohio, apparently, where LeBron James from. And I was like, Mom, it's your boy's name.
That was sad.
It was really heartbreaking. I was just like, but apparently the reason, and you know what I thought was very suspicious, which I hadn't really thought about, I guess maybe until the first house that burned.
Yeah.
Stanley was nowhere in sight when the fire was going on. But he would always be outside of his house every single night stalking these people who were having a party. But whenever a fire was occurring, he was nowhere to be found. And
but this time around,
they had footage because the neighbors had put up cameras.
At the way he walked.
Yes.
Yeah, the neighbors had put on cameras, so they saw this same guy, the same guy that they saw in the first house.
Yeah.
But they never caught that guy. They saw him the way he was walking.
And then they saw that.
Wait a minute, he got an uneven gait.
And
maybe, so
it's the same guy.
Yes.
And then also the other thing was that they would see that this guy, he would always run right back to Stanley's house.
Well, the house next door.
Yes. So and that was his mother's house. And then when they went there, they found out that they actually, his security system, it would timestamp whenever it was armed and disarmed. Yes. So he would go to his mama's house, go get gasoline, go pour it, leave the house, and then come back.
Yes.
And
take off his stuff and all that.
So they clocked it for each time. And they saw that, oh my God, this man was doing it. Because they didn't catch him the first time because they thought, maybe this man's ex-wife had done it because of life insurance.
So many other suspects. But they saw it kept, like you said, a timestamp of the time that he came into the place, the time that he left. It was around the same time of the fire. And then this thing had also recorded from a year ago.
Yes, so that was there as well.
Time, yes,
they had that evidence
together.
Yeah,
and put that man away for
9 consecutive life sentences.
Yeah.
And then also the judge had got on him, was like, instead of you trying to be a good Christian and actually getting to know your neighbors, you actually might have liked them or whatever. And he said, you chose not to live by the Bible. That's when he decides to speak.
Yes.
I don't agree with that. So you basically are admitting that you did what you did because you say you're trying to justify it by...
But he was living by the Bible. That's what he's trying to tell the judge. I was living by the Bible by my actions, like some dodo bird. I don't know who even says that, but he was found guilty. I just thought
it was so insane. Like, you use the Bible for your degeneracy. A holy book. You use that for your degeneracy.
By the time he was sentenced, he had grown dreads. So remember, his hair was all, like nice and short, right? Because he was going to church and all this stuff. Now you look at him sitting down. I don't agree with that. I was just like, 9 people did he, and that made history. The first time 9 people have even been killed
in that county.
In that county, right?
Yeah.
The most murders by one person.
I don't want to be making history for no shit like that.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I just thought that was so sad. Crazy. Like, how do you get on this high horse? Like, I can tell people how they live. Yeah. Me personally, if I see my neighbor, as long as you not abusing no kids, you not raping nobody, I'm not getting involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you're selling drugs, that's not my business. Do not come here thinking that you're going to come harm me, because I am a woman living by myself. Like, do not. So that's my thing. I just feel like sometimes you have to leave people where they are, and it's really not your business. Like, you're not God. You're not the judge and jury.
Intentionally to see if they're selling drugs.
I feel like the only time we got involved in anything
like this to see. No.
I think there was only one time that we got involved with our neighbors here, and that was when we kept on hearing a child screaming, crying, and hollering, like it was going through some crazy stuff or whatever. That was the only time we had ever gotten involved or whatever.
Come to find out, the child had recently been circumcised at the hospital, and they were trying to
clean his wound or whatever.
So.
But I just don't feel like it's necessary. Sometimes you have to just leave people. Like, you're not God. You really, where nobody is worthy to judge.
And you don't want anyone coming into your sanctuary, which is your home, to come tell you what to do in your home, or to let them know I am watching you.
Yeah.
Like some that. What was that? Marty's
mom. And God forbid you come up into my space and tell me what I should or should not be doing, because I'm gonna gush your ass out at the door. You're not even going to get a chance to come say anything to me. So, I mean, there's no point in him doing all that. Like, I just felt it was so wrong. Like, you killed 5 kids that were all under the age of 16.
Like, why?
Just because you didn't like the daddy?
And what is so sad is that the lady had one child prior to having this husband. And
she had a husband who was a stalker. Yeah. She actually was married to him or whatever, and he actually tried to burn this white lady. Like, he had poured gasoline on her in the bathtub and then tried to light her on fire.
I know.
So you escaped one crazy husband just for you to get murdered by your neighbor in a fire. Yeah. Like, what is that?
And the poor daughter was thinking, oh, maybe it's my dad who did that. And even at the funeral, Stanley comes to her and was like, people who do that, may they burn in hell, and gives her a hug.
You mean you?
It was so sad. Like, she lost all her family members in one day.
And then my thing is just for you to have the balls to go to a funeral, hug a child, and look her in the eye and say, I hope these people go to hell. So you knew what you were doing was wrong. Because you said that. Yeah. And you're the one who did that. Like, it's just something up there ain't right. The elevator don't even leave the garage door. It don't even go past the first. It don't even go.
Level,
no, it stays down. It probably sinks into the sand. The whole thing was a mess, and I just felt so horrible about the whole thing.
I was just like, what?
You're pushing 70 and you're killing people? This is what you decide to do your twilight years?
This is like serious fear thy neighbor. And the poor wife, because she's a young woman, the poor wife, the 2 daughters.
You didn't think about your kids?
You have to live with that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
He probably felt like he was going to get away with it because nobody had got him after all these years.
Over a year, yes. Nobody had found. So he was like, I found what I'm going to be doing now to get rid of my neighbors.
But my thing is, I feel like the issue that I feel like with the justice system, I feel like you guys use the cops for everything. When I really feel there should be, like, maybe, like, certain things. Like, I don't know what it is, certain task force for certain things. Like, for neighborly stuff, like community stuff. You should have a task force just for that. A task force for people who are on drugs. A task force for domestic violence. A task force something else. Instead of just calling the police. Because, I mean, if this task force is just focused on this neighborhood or this county, and they're seeing there have been several fires going on, they can be, hold on, wait a second. I remember when they had this fire a year ago. Oh, my God, this fire happened a month ago. Oh, this fire happened 6 months ago. What the hell is going on here?
Exactly.
So, that's what they should be doing. But I feel like it's stupid to just have the cops just handle everything. They ain't got no time.
It's a lot for them to handle everything like that. And so that's where you get people who will become very, I mean, it reminds me of just being a nurse, you know?
Yeah.
Piling all kinds of things you pile on the nurses to do.
Instead of making the job easier for people.
Same thing with teachers.
Yeah.
So, like, you know.
But yeah, y'all.
Yeah,
that
so
was Fear Thy Neighbor.
This is our first one that we've done for Fear Thy Neighbor.
I used to watch it all the time. I love the show. I kind of thought it was a little bit funny because I always thought to myself, this is your neighbor. You can't let it go. Like, you have to live with this person. Is it that serious?
I know.
But yeah, y'all, it's Mary.
And
we invite you guys to like,
subscribe,
share,
and comment
down below.